So speaking on election malpractices, as President Donald Trump of the United States of America has just concluded his address, and this time he has named China. He says that it was the involvement of China attempting to influence American public opinion and also elections, alleging that Beijing paid U.S. journalists to publish negative reports about him. President Trump claimed that China sought to damage his image by portraying his presidency negatively, despite what he has described as an administration's achievements. He also alleged that China was working to influence the 2018 U.S. midterm elections and later in 2020 presidential elections. As also said that he has blamed China, saying that it obtained sensitive U.S. voter data, claiming that millions of voter records across 18 states were either bought, stolen or hacked. And President Trump says that China had acquired the 220 million U.S. voter files, announced in the immediate declassification and release of intelligence related to what he described as serious vulnerabilities in America's election infrastructure. And this is something that he has highlighted because he says that President Trump, who has revisited the conspiracy theories about his 2020 defeat to Joe Biden, and of course, when it comes to foreign efforts to influence the U.S. elections, President Trump has now named China in his address. And now he says that China wanted to pay journalists to produce more bad content on the current president, and he is now accusing China of election interference, where President Trump, who has often shared election conspiracy theories, accusing China of committing the largest compromise of election data in history, and he's further alleged that there was a deep state conspiracy to cover it up. And this is something where he says the intelligence community judgments that are by design subject to fierce internal debate as well, but President Trump has also talked about releasing reports addressing key areas of election integrity, where he's reiterated allegations of China's involvement in 2020 elections. And this is something which his primetime address to the nation that President Trump seems to be talking about. And of course, when it comes to the foreign efforts to influence U.S. elections, this is a topic, an issue that President Trump has often stated in his addresses. And this now seems to be also talking about what the election observers in the United States have warned, that this is a campaign to sow mistrust and try to undercut his 2020 loss. But this seems to be what President Trump reviving before the crucial midterm elections in November, in which what we are now looking at as far as his Republican Party and the control over the Congress that we are looking at could be in trouble, looking at the current circumstances of this another wave of U.S. strikes that are being carried out against Iran. And this is something which President Trump had mentioned in the beginning of his address, that we are winning this war. Let's in the meantime connect with our Foreign Affairs editor, Akansha Swaroop, joining us live. Akansha, good morning. President Trump just concluding his address. He seems to have revisited the China influence on the elections.
Absolutely, and it's become a classic playbook to the U.S. president. We saw it happen even during his campaigning, while he was campaigning for his current presidency, and we see he is reviving it yet again. You rightly highlighted the timing of it is significant. It was a White House address that was made by the U.S. president, and yes, we all know that the midterms are around the corner towards the latter half of the year, and that is why this is on expected lines. All of White House was abuzz with the fact that the U.S. president will be alluding to allegations of China rigging the 2020 presidential election. He's saying that this is the most unprecedented election rigging in U.S. history, where close to 220 million voter data has been stolen by the Chinese. The allegations are very serious, given that he's accusing China of buying journalists, of propaganda. And this is not the first time. Remember, this is a matter which has even gone to court, and the courts have also dismissed it, which also he labeled as a democratic all of those Democratic senators, conspiring against the Republicans. But having said that, these are serious, massive allegations that he's again unearthing. We don't know, at a time when just a month ago at the G7 in his bilateral with Prime Minister Modi, he began that bilateral by referring to a G2 soon after his visit to China, not at a time when everybody is talking about how he's trying to woo China. with that abrupt rollback of Indo from the Indo-Pacific Command nomenclature. What is one to make of these accusations? We do not know. Would he really still want to do business with the country that he's accusing has stolen his country's voter data? And this is, in fact, he's referring to an unclassified US intelligence assessment that, remember, had been conducted by John Ratcliffe, who is the former CIA intelligence director as well. And we'll have to see how far he's willing to take these accusations, or how China is going to respond to these accusations, because these are extremely grave accusations, Amita. Will this yet again be taken to court, or is he doing this to milk sympathy of his voter base, especially in the red states in the United States?
So does it display, Akanksha, as far as pressure on the President of the United States, of course, as far as in the hurry in which that they wanted to get the MOU signed, and thereafter the President then announcing during the sidelines of the NATO summit that the peace deal is now over. United States has also resumed its strikes, sixth consecutive day that is being observed. And in the initial part of his address, he did mention that we are winning this war. So what are we now looking at? Pressure to continue with the war, or pressure to hurriedly sign a peace deal with Iran?
The fact that he's drawing the Venezuela analogy is also to bring back to his voter base that Venezuela was a huge victory. It is something that has brought big gains to Washington, given that the oil coming into the US Treasury is only going to benefit the US citizen. All of this is indeed building up on that rhetoric to garner more support, given how we've seen his popularity ratings have been sinking in the days gone by. More importantly, can he compare Venezuela with Iran? Because nobody had expected the way Iran has been retaliating. It certainly goes on to indicate that this has been a huge strategic blunder, to say the least, because this war, which he perhaps was expecting would be wrapped up in few days' time, perhaps a month at the most, given he was reminded of the operation that Israel and the United States conducted on Iran's nuclear facility last year in June. That is something that certainly has not happened. Nobody had even dreamt that Iran will use the Strait of Hormuz, blocking this critical maritime choke point to their leverage, and more importantly, even go on to attack their West Asian allies in the United States. The world is asking, what is the US doing to protect its own allies, even though it is their military installations which are getting targeted? So yes, what we are seeing coming out from the presidential address at the White House is indicative of tremendous pressure that the US president is currently buckling under.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking on this address, because he seems to be also talking about publishing previously classified intel assessments that he claims that shows the government that found that voting machines were also extremely exposed to attack from foreign adversaries, and squarely now blaming China and accusing China for interference. Please to stay on with us, Akanksha, because now we're going to talk about the war and the conflict that is now escalated in another phase. What we are now looking at is the fresh wave of military strikes.